become the center of our lives. It's something that we use for entertainment. We use it for computing. It's an education vehicle. You saw people use it for healthcare. That's going to increase even more. But in the future, it's going to connect and do everything that we need it to do for us. It'll control our lives and be kind of a remote control for our lives, we think. And the opportunity for the entire industry to develop experiences on the device, between devices, we think is going to be immense. And it'll be a great opportunity to reach more, connect more, and create more. So about 2006, we started an initiative which we call Wireless Reach. And the purpose of Wireless Reach was to find ways to really extend the way that people use cellular connectivity and mobile connectivity, to bring really the benefits of wireless to a lot of underserved communities around the world. And now it's something that spans 73 different projects across 31 different countries. And it really covers a number of different areas, from entrepreneurship, education, healthcare, environment, and public safety. And we're very proud of it. We're going to talk a little bit about one of our wireless reach projects that is ongoing now here in Europe. So if you look in Europe, we have a partnership with Apricor and Vodafone Spain Foundation to work on an augmented reality project in Spain with eLabora. Essentially what the project does is it brings the capability for workers who have some intellectual difficulties and essentially get them more productive in a work environment. Essentially what it does is it uses the camera to provide step-by-step training guides and allows these folks to really allow them to work on things they wouldn't be able to work were it not be for that technology. So we're very proud of that situation. It's just one of many things that we have going on around the world, and just something that we think is just going to really improve the impact of wireless around the world. Okay, so if you look at the networks themselves, it's really the 4G and the 3G networks are really becoming ubiquitous. Today there are 89 different LTE networks worldwide across 45 different countries. There are 472 HSPA and HSPA Plus networks across 183 countries, and 27 EVDO networks across over 60 countries. And there's still a long runway for growth. Today, if you look, there are more than 1 million connections per day, and by 2016 there'll be 3.4 billion connections across the year, which is an amazing growth rate. And then if you think about it, everybody thinks about that may be just happening other places in the world. If you look at the amount of connections in Europe, so in Europe today it's about 382 million 3G connections. It's only 35% of the total connections that occur in Europe. So there's just an enormous runway left to continue to drive new experiences and new ubiquity in terms of connectivity and the reach of wireless. Could we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, so one of the things that's happening in Europe is of course, folks are deploying LTE. There's about 42 different LTE networks launched already. There are 100 more planned. And we expect the growth of LTE across 2011 to 2016 to grow at about a growth rate of about 200% a year. It's really amazing, actually, how the growth in wireless data is going to accelerate here over the next several years. It's not just data devices, but also on the phones. Of course, multi-mode 4G and 3G solutions are something that we try to make very easy for the industry to pull into solutions, and we're going to drive that even more. You'll hear more about that today from Cristiano and Murthy as they describe our chipset offerings. But it's a big growth driver of our business right now. Okay, there's probably two things that really are happening in mobile data today. One is that more and more devices are being connected, so different types of things are getting onto the network. But also the amount of device or the amount of data usage per device is increasing. And if you look in 2011, the typical smartphone uses 35 times more data than a feature phone used. That was a typical, basic feature phone. It's incredible how much data is now pumping through these networks. If you look at Telenor or China Mobile, both of them expect to exceed 150% growth rates in terms of how much data they're driving over the next year. And then Docomo is planning to actually add 1,000 times the data capacity over the 10-year decade from 2010 to 2020. And a lot of what Qualcomm is working on right now is the technology that enables 1,000 times the growth in capacity in networks. And I'll talk a little bit about that here over the next several slides. Okay, so there's really kind of a couple things that are happening. Number one, we're innovating and working with our partners through the standards bodies to continue to drive innovation in mobile networks. So if you look at the standards themselves, we are driving enormous amounts of R&D across the span from LTE Advanced, HSPA Advanced, WCDMA, eMDMS, and LTE direct-to-direct. Essentially, these are things that give more data throughput for existing networks, but also provides the capability for many different types of networks to connect to themselves. And it's a lot of investment that Qualcomm is driving right now in these areas. In addition, we have a vision where the network itself, the topology of the network and the way in which cells will be deployed will be very different. Today, we've really done a great job in terms of optimizing the networks and the usages of the networks. And to get further capacity improvements, we really think the opportunity exists to make many, many small cells and to really diversify the deployment scenarios that are in the network. And see, we have this concept of small cells. We're a big believer in small cells. You probably see some of the demonstrations out there, some of the work that we're doing in that area. And there's still a lot of innovation needed, from how do you create very low-cost cell sites, how do you handle the backhaul problem, which is just an enormous issue, how do you deal with interference management, and then how do you deal on the device side to offload onto the right network at the right time. A lot of complication going to happen in order to enable 1,000 times. But that's really one of our big priorities if you look at our big kind of 10-year vision for the company. So if you look at a cell site, the way we think it's going to turn out is, cell site's a big thing today, or it's getting smaller, of course, but we think it can be as small and as cheap as a phone. And this is actually not an artist's rendition. This is an actual real base station that we have today in our labs, and they're just incredibly small. And what we think is going to happen is you can take the scale that is available to us on phones and really provide that to the base station world. Really drive the next layer of growth in the capacity of the network. Okay, about a year ago, we bought a company called Atheros, connectivity and networking company, because we had this vision. And the vision is that we think everything is going to be connected, and it's going to be connected in multiple ways. In your home, there's going to be an enormous, just a number of different varieties in terms of the way in which you connect to the network. From power line communications, to Wi-Fi, to home plug green-fi, and a number of different types of means to really connect to the right technology at the right time to get your data on and off of the device. And you'll see demonstrations of that out in the foyer as well. Okay, another thing that we demonstrated this year is 802.11 AC. And this really enables us to connect a lot of different devices in the home, mobile devices in the home. And I think we were the first ones to actually demonstrate that. We demonstrated it here in Barcelona, if I remember. on a mobile device. And what we really think is going to happen is if you look in the home today, there's probably 2 or 3 different IP addresses. That'll probably be 100 in a very short period of time. And the ability to share all of this data to many, many different types of panels or connected devices will be a big part of how we enable people to take advantage of what cellular can bring. So we essentially imagine that all of our devices are connected together, and they may be talking through many, many different types of technologies, however. So if you look, you think the tablet's going to be connected to the TV is going to be connected to the light switch is going to be connected to all these different things. But at the end, we believe that our phone, really very much so, will be the remote control for a lot of what we do. And so it's very important that we can drive end-to-end solutions between the phone and all of the nodes that are in the house. And that won't just be in the house. We think it'll be in the shopping mall. We think it'll be in museums. It'll be in the car. And just an enormous amount of connectivity and complexity in the underlying technology. And that's really what Qualcomm's trying to do, is make that easy for people to bring to market. The other thing, the big trend from our side that we see is that basically everything is going to be running some form of mobile OS and leverage the App Store that really is now getting started on the phone. Today, if you look at 2011, there's about 30 million or 30 billion downloaded apps. That's expected to grow to 66 billion by the end of 2016. Just an enormous growth in terms of the usages of apps in the App Store. What's driving that? In addition to just more devices getting out there are different types of devices. So we always joke around in Qualcomm that we can't believe that we actually have a slide that has a washing machine on it, but we think it's actually true. We think we will be soon connected and providing Qualcomm technology, not just to phones, but into many different types of wireless devices and connected consumer electronics devices. And these are things that are going to be happening very, very rapidly, probably faster than we can imagine in terms of the speed at which this will happen. Another big trend is healthcare. If you look at healthcare, huge global problem, chronic disease, the cost of providing healthcare, the inaccessibility of the patient to the healthcare provider, and it's really also the shortages of people who can provide that. So this is really something where technology can provide a big advantage, and really something that not only is a great business, but also is something that extends the reach of cellular in terms of its ability to impact the world. Today, we did a study, or there was a study done in the U.S. that showed that there's a 50% reduction in the mortality rate by remotely tracking patients who have defibrillators and using the cellular network in order to do that. It's just the beginning in terms of what I think is going to happen to the healthcare industry as it starts to use more and more of the connectivity assets that the cellular network provides. So we launched a service in the U.S. It's coming to Europe in about a couple of months. Essentially what it is, it's a way to take existing devices and to connect them into the cloud using cellular connectivity and essentially a hub that enables us to sort of provide all of the, abstract a lot of the cellular connectivity away from the device, the cellular device. People describe it as providing sort of the Kindleization of healthcare in your device, in your home, and that's really what we've been doing in trying to really stimulate the industry to take advantage of all these connectivity assets. As I said, this is coming to Europe in a couple of months. The other thing, in terms of technology enablers, we're spending a lot of time talking about software. And software for us, again, we're a technology enabler. Things like peer-to-peer, working on web tech and augmented reality. Let me talk a little bit about each one of those. Peer-to-peer, we have a solution called AllJoin. And what it is it's a quick way to create an ad hoc network across platforms to enable different types of devices to securely and quickly talk to each other. We demonstrated out there in the hall. And we've been doing this for some time. It's an open source project. We manage it through our open source Qualcomm Innovation Center. And it really enables us to share content, connect devices very quickly, and it really provides a quick and easy way for different types of devices to interact with each other. The other one we're working a lot on is bringing web technologies, and in particular HTML5, into the mobile environment. Our Snapdragon product line has highly optimized HTML5 solutions. We're also working on adding additional APIs to the web community so that they can take advantage of the unique feature set that exists on mobile. Things like camera, GPS, a different type of file system, peer-to-peer. A lot of the things that you can do, especially because it's a part of mobile, we're providing in those APIs. We have that demonstrated out there as well. The other thing that we think is really interesting is augmented reality. Augmented reality, of course, allows the phone to essentially interact with the physical world through the camera. And I won't talk too much about it other than to say we did this about 2 years ago. We started this in earnest. And today, using our Vuforia platform, we have more than 30,000 developers and over 1,000 commercial apps. And it's really amazing what people can do with these things. We're going to show you a little bit about that here in the next couple of minutes.